Thanks for tuning in today. I'm John Holmes with Holmes Hobbies, and we have an episode of the Holmes Hobby House, the place where I get to do anything that I want. Anything that I want within reason, within the scope of the laws maybe, although sometimes you can kind of bend them. If you have been a long-time viewer, you've probably seen how the city didn't like what I was doing here at the Hobby House. It was so illegal. They were going to give me fines and all that for throwing down a bunch of gravel, a bunch of rock, 80 tons of rock I threw into the yard. And of course, when you know how to word things, you can sometimes get around these laws. And what I did was convert everything into landscaping. And we just had a huge storm last night. Tornadoes in the area. You may have heard in the national news of the Missouri tornadoes last night. And as you can see and maybe hear, this yard really collects water. It kind of turns into a big pond, which is exactly why I did this mostly Missouri native water garden behind me. And I did the more typical landscaping on the edge so that the front of the street, it looks like evergreens. It looks like something that you would more normally see in front of a house, not quite so messy. But from the back side, we can look, and it is mostly natives. There's some non-natives in here. I have some mint that's taking over, but a lot of our grasses are natives. And we've got some native iris over there, a couple of asters, some other things, which I don't even recall the name of at this point. But it is kind of a nice mix just to have things that the birds like to get into. There's plenty of seed for them to eat. The rabbits get into there. It's kind of nice to see a little bit of wildlife in the middle of town like this. When I bought the house, it was just barren. There were some rabbits around, but they were just eating some of the crap that was in the grass. And now they've got a lot more food, which is kind of fun. And of course, I've put some other things in here because, why not? I had to take a lot of plants out of my personal house and I had nowhere to put it. And I can't just throw plants away, so I planted them here. And hey, they're thriving, they're doing well. And in particular, the one grass that I did not expect to do well, this is a Missouri native right here. This is called fox sedge. And this fox sedge, I've planted it in multiple spots at my home and around here, and it loves this area. It's just getting so nice and thick compared to a lot of the other native grasses. And as you can probably clearly see, it's practically just sitting in water most of the time, especially after a rain. And it evidently loves sitting in water, which is really cool to see. Really cool to see that some of my planting is actually doing okay, because I have no clue what I'm doing when it comes to landscaping and green thumbing. If we look at my thumbs, they're more brown and black from wrenching on rigs most of the day, building motors and clicking mices all day. It's a lot of design work, I guess. But it's been kind of fun just to have my own little play place, do what I please, and make lots of mistakes, and sometimes make a mistake that actually works out that the plants like. So now that's probably enough of the front yard. Let's walk into the backyard down this non-driveway. This is merely landscaping that we're on, if the city is concerned about it. As you can see, there's plenty of gravel, wide enough to be a driveway, but when there's grass on top, it's okay. It's okay for us to drive over this landscaping all we want. We can't drive over it if it's a driveway though. No. The city gets very upset with a new dust-producing surface. So as you can see, we do not have a driveway. Very obvious to me that this is not a driveway. This is nothing but landscaping. We also have some native Lespedeza coming out. Normally I'd probably pull this because it looks like a weed, but I've been doing a little bit more research on our native plants. This is also some native grasses. That is oak sedge there, and yeah, this is our Lespedeza. I forget what kind of Lespedeza it is, but that's a Lespedeza. That's a legume. If anybody wants to know what a Lespedeza is, it's a legume. So it's good for nitrogen in the soil. Looking around, we don't have any trees down after that big storm. That was my biggest worry, is we got some pretty old and poor condition trees, I should say. The, what are they called? Again, I'm not a green thumb type of guy. I don't remember names of a lot of elm. There we go. These elm trees. We actually took one elm tree out that was behind the house. The disc golf basket is sitting on top of the stump now. It was hollow. It was pretty much ready to fall on the house, and I Even though this is kind of a crappy house, a budget house, I'm sorry, it is not a crappy house, I'm sorry, it is a budget home. I still didn't want a tree falling on it and wrecking our studio. That just seemed like a major inconvenience in the works. But we still have a couple of elm trees back here. They're pretty poor condition. We ended up chopping down all the tops off of this one that's kind of close to our fence line because it was looking like it was going to fall on us when we would crawl. Any sort of wind would pick up, and there was a lot of hollowness. Just I'm not a big fan of elm trees right now. So yeah, we did some tree work, had to do some tree work to make sure that this place stays safe when we're back here. Although I didn't cut the tree line because it gives really good shade on these rocks. And while I'm talking about the rocks, I'll just say I'm not favorable of how the rocks are laid out right now. This line, the one you're focusing on right now, is great. I love the line going all the way across there, but all the other piles we really don't even use. They are underutilized. They're just a pile of rocks when it boils down to it, and they haven't been worked over. So you know, the one on this side of the camera, that guy there, and I've got two piles in the back of the lot. I don't really know what to do with them, and maybe y'all can tell me what y'all would do with these piles. I'm thinking maybe I'm going to rent a bobcat again and pull the big rocks over to our existing piles that are well utilized, and just make those piles bigger and better, and flatten this out, maybe put grass back down, which is, you know, I'm doing a whole bunch of work just so I can redo it with a whole bunch of work, just so I have even more work to finish that back out. But you know, what else do we do with our life? We keep ourselves busy as humans. I think there's a lot of non-essential things that humans do to bide their time. Yard work is one of them. Obviously, playing with toys is a very non-essential thing. And I do understand that me owning a house that is nothing but hobbies and rocks dumped into the yard and a place for me to play with my toys, it's not exactly normal. It doesn't surpass me to realize that this is kind of a weird situation, a unique situation, maybe we can call it. And some days I kind of wonder, it's like, well, what am I doing here? What are we doing on this rock flying through space anyway? It's, you know, maybe that's the midlife crisis coming in. I'm getting kind of close to 40 years old. And when you live long enough, you start to realize that, hey, maybe I'm not right about everything. And maybe dumping 80 tons of rocks in my backyard wasn't the best move. I should have maybe had a plan, but, you know, it's whatever, because it's the hobby house, and there's nobody here to tell me that I'm doing anything wrong except for me. And I'm kind of hard on myself sometimes when it comes to putting rocks in the wrong location in my own yard. So maybe I'll work on that. You know, we can always work on being better to ourselves and our fellow humans. So what I'm going to do to be better is to probably move these rocks around again. Maybe, I don't know. Y'all tell me here what y'all would do in this situation. Would you pour kerosene on them and light the rocks on fire? Or would you pour kerosene on the big pile of sticks that's behind the rocks and light those on fire instead, and probably melt the power lines, because it's unfortunately underneath the power lines, and I didn't really think about that when I first made the pile of sticks, which has gotten way out of hand. Way out of hand. I didn't think that there'd be that much crap on the fence lines and falling from these trees, but you know, live and learn. That's what this house is all about, is learning all of the problems with a poorly maintained tree and a poorly maintained rock pile. But you know, I still have fun. I still have fun every day. And today what we're gonna do is shoot some videos after this video, and I'm probably gonna move some rocks around. After breaking my leg, I'm to the point to where I can kind of bend down enough to pick up a rock and, you know, carry like 30 pounds or so. So I think I'm gonna maybe move some rocks around and work on my crawling a little bit, and I don't know, whatever else I feel like, because it's a hobby house, right? That's what we're here for, is having some fun. So yeah, let me know in the comments what kind of stuff that you would like to see here, or if you had a place that was just nothing but a blank-ish slate, what you would do in this situation. You know, maybe I should do some scale little trees and stuff and do a scale course that looks good on camera. I think that'd be pretty cool. I don't really know where to start on the plants with that though. You know, what kind of plants would I buy? But maybe y'all know what kind of plants would be good as miniature plants, some certain cultivars, some certain strains of plants. It's not my wheelhouse. I know motors. Hey, if you got some motor questions, you know, put them down below and I will get to those. But I've got questions about what plants to put in this backyard. So hey, maybe y'all can tell me and help me out in this situation. So that's about all I can talk about today for the hobby house. You know, I can keep beating myself up over putting in big piles of rocks and moving them around and moving them around again, but you know, I won't spend too much time on that. I'll just do it, right? I'll just move the rocks instead of spending time thinking about doing the rocks, right? So I appreciate y'all tuning in. Hopefully this was extremely entertaining with me talking about rocks. Y'all have a good one. Signing out.